Hello and welcome to the Tachiai Nagoya podcast. You might notice that we've got an extra character on screen today, so I'm Bruce, the associate editor. We've got Andy, the creator of Tachiai, and Josh, the world-famous world traveler, the guy who sends us pictures from the Kokugi-Con, has joined us as a special guest feature. Say hello, Josh.
Hajimemashite. It's good to be here.
Very
glad
nice.
to be here, and thanks for having me on the podcast.
Are you kidding me? You're one of our favorite contributors because you come up with some great supporting stories, and you actually happen to go to Tokyo. So we live vicariously through your travels.
I do, and yeah, if anyone's ever curious to know which Sanyaku wrestler has the best lunchbox, I am here to help people on Tachiai figure that out. So. Happy to provide that type of content.
Lunchbox.
I think it was best last time.
He was. People love to go away to Lunchbox, and it frequently sells out. And I'll be interested to see next time I'm back there what they've got in Tochinoshin's Lunchbox.
Oh, that's right. Tochinoshin's going to have a lunchbox.
Can't imagine that.
Well, now I need to go. I just need to go. All right, let's get rolling. So, Andy, start out. Reactions to the Banzuke when it was published about 10 days ago. What are your thoughts?
Endo's surprise not fall, I guess. I was expecting a little bit further, but yes, you can go get a new Band-Aid. Sorry. Endo didn't fall quite as far as I thought he would, and neither did Yu Takayama, but it seemed like a lot of it was, I guess, within expectation. So, I mean, Landed does a great job with those, with his forecasts, because I basically kind of quit on mine.
Oh, me too, because I was getting completely smoked.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Actually, this time I did only see Endo going down 6, but since mine is usually so far, so far off, I didn't figure it would actually happen. But that middle of the Banzuke seemed to be so turbulent.
Well, so Leonid is actually a genetic scientist, and I think that he has several cloned brains that he has networked together that help him forecast the Banzuke.
He does a great job.
He does.
So yeah, I've officially hung up my Banzuke attempts. So yeah, Abi, it's nice to see him still in the Joy. And it'll be a challenge for him, but he's exciting, and I hope to see him with another Kimboki, maybe a couple of Ozeki scalps, but we'll see.
All right, Josh, reactions to the Banzuke.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I mean, talking about Abi, it's kind of funny, and it kind of shows why sometimes you do these sumo predictions, and it's like, whatever you predict, it's obviously never going to happen. Last time, before the last tournament, I came out, I said, who's Abi going to actually be able to beat? I thought he'd be able to knock off Kakeru. Who knows? He comes out, he beats Hakuho. I thought there's no way that Hakuho is going to be susceptible to that. It turns out he was. What I thought was actually interesting when I looked at it is the last few tournaments, I'm going to drop down a little bit, sometimes I cover the ones to watch feature that we have on Tachiai. Look at who's coming next. And I was looking at the Juryo division because we've seen so much turnover. Now, Bruce, you talk about, the next wave of people that are going to be coming up and the guys going down and who's going to be retiring soon. And it's interesting. If you look at the last few tournaments, there's been some dead weight in that division. And it's such a small, condensed division as it is already. But, you've had guys. You've had Chio Otori, Ura, Osunarashi, Takanoiwa, Terunofuji at any point not being able to even compete or win a match. This time, it actually looks like you've got a division that's full of guys, either at the top, who are going to be able to get back up to the Makuuchi division, or at the bottom, trying to hang in there. And it's going to be a pretty competitive thing this time.
Yep.
Not that it isn't normally, but sometimes it's a little turgid. It's pretty extreme. And I think we're going to see that, like, we talk about that wave and the change that's coming, and we tend to focus a lot of time on big names, but you're seeing these guys, Amanishiki and Takekaze, and, Sokokurai doesn't look so good right now. Maybe these guys are going to be the first guys that we see. So I'm looking at that. The next thing that I'm looking at is, if you look at who's actually ranked in the top 11 ranks, it's like Makushita 1 to like 6 East, there's some big names. This is going to be a nasty promotion fight.
Yep.
And, when you look at the last NHK preview that they did before the Natsu Basho, and they had, I hope I don't ruin this, but they had Wakata Kakage on there. Yeah, they talked about the difference between, what the guys that we see and the guys that are coming up, heaven and hell. And this is like a real fight, because you've got like Terano Fuji's dropped down, and like Toyonoshima's coming back up, and they're in that kind of range right now. They're trying to get back to heaven.
Yep.
And it's a couple guys who dropped out of Juryo who are kind of down in that hell period. So I'm really looking at that with a lot of interest.
Okay, so you teed up a couple big, fat, juicy ones right there. So we're gonna take a couple of them on. So Terano Fuji, double knee surgery, laid up probably for at least 3 or 4 months. We may not see him again. He is dry docked. Suffering diabetes, significantly overweight, no way to work out right now because his knees have been just completely trashed. Is there any hope for our kaiju?
I hope so. I really, really hope so. I mean, I loved Terano Fuji when he was so fierce, and I mean when he picked up that Yusho,
Yep.
It was spectacular. But now he's down there with Joe Koryu, and yeah, I mean, like Josh said, he's one of those guys who's fighting to try to get back up into Juryo, and he definitely seems like he'll have the better shot at than, I mean, well, Terano Fuji's not going anywhere right now, but down. So, I mean, Ura will probably be up in Makuuchi before Terano Fuji has a chance to get out of Makushita.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've seen these debates on the site in the past. We see guys drop down out of the top division. And turn it down because feedback. But you see guys drop down out of that top division, and we have these debates. When are they going to come back? And we just had one last time. Remember when Onosho dropped down to Juryo?
Yep.
When Terano Fuji dropped down, I was one of these guys who was super bullish. Like, oh my goodness, Terano Fuji, Juryo 3, are you kidding me? He is going to just absolutely run the table. He's going to be back up there. No, that's not what we saw. So, I'm like you. I want to see his results in Joyo before I kind of change tune here. I'm going to be very conservative now. Obviously, he has a talent. Sometimes we forget how young he is. It's kind of crazy. He's like 26. And, as I said before, I mean, you look at that group of people who are around him now, Bruce, I hope you're right, and that, he is laid up. I don't hope he's laid up for a little bit longer, but if he takes that time off to recuperate from those surgeries, because, if you look at the kind of people he could be facing, as you mentioned, Angel Court there, but Toyonoshima, Enho, he's fighting for promotion again. You got Hako Yozan just came back down. There's just a number of really exciting names as well, like Murata, who's big, Ichi Yamamoto. It would not be easy in the best of circumstances, even if he was healthy, this tournament to be able to mount a promotion challenge. So my goodness, it's going to be interesting to see where he starts that push from.
Well, and you mentioned he's got years to go.
Yep.
Tochinoshin has shown that it is possible. So I'm really, really hopeful. I mean, we just see so many injuries, and so many of these guys. Like, my big question mark this tournament, Endo and his bicep, and being able to see whether they can take the time off when they can go down and hopefully come back. And the sad thing with Terano Fuji is that it just seems like he was keeping himself in Ozeki and up in Makuuchi way too long.
Yep.
Hopefully he'll be back.
All right, so you guys have already jumped square into the middle of some of this, but let's go through, let's talk about who's ready and who's not. And we are going to start at the top. So I'm going to tee up the first one. Let's talk about the number one man in sumo today. It's Yokozuna Kakuryu. Is this guy Genki or what?
Definitely Genki. I mean, Kakuryu, I have been hesitant to I guess think of him as Genki because he's been so inconsistent for before the last 6 months he'd been pretty inconsistent for 2 years. This was his first time winning 2 in a row.
Yep.
I'm gonna be bullish and go for the three-peat here.
Wow.
And I'm excited to see a healthy Kakuryu.
All right, Josh.
I think it's an interesting one. I mean, I think, he answered the questions. Yokozuna is expected to challenge the championship. But he took so much time off. I think a lot of us just wanted to see him consistently finish tournaments and do it with good sumo. So, for me, if he doesn't win this time, I don't think it's a big deal.
No.
If he puts up 10 or 11, I think we can agree that's fine. If we see him go Kyujo, it's not the end of the world. But, I would like to see him at least be able to continue that run, have another really good competitive tournament, and be there in the mix, push those guys. It's going to be a really interesting tournament. You've got more folks, again, back in the Sanyaku. As Bruce noted on the site, there's going to be a bigger desperation for wins. And I think he's got a big part in that.
Yep. Yeah, so let's talk about our favorite Grim Reaper, Yokozuna Hakuho, who, much like Kakuryu, if you take a look at some of the stuff being posted to Twitter about the Geiko sessions and the practice matches, he's looking pretty damn fierce this time. Andy, thoughts about the boss?
The toe is going to be nagging him, and I'm very, very hopeful for a peak Hakuho, but I just don't know how many days he will be, I guess, his old self before the nagging injuries start coming into play again. But now with Kakuryu really fighting strong, I'm thinking it would be very, very nice for a Senshuraku showdown between the two. It's been a long time since we had two Yokozuna fighting for it at the end, and I'm optimistic that this time around Hakuho will be in Yusho contention again, not just the final weekend, but the final day.
All right, Josh, thoughts about the boss?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm with you. I mean, I think, first of all, I'm a Hakuho 2020 guy. I think he will be around. I think he will still be competitive in 2020. I think if you look at the last couple of years of Hakuho, this is a different era of his career, and I don't think there's much to worry about with him. We've seen him go away with a big injury before and come back, and he came back with similar results to what he had last time. I mean, last time, look, he was in competition, Yusho, pretty much until the end. Obviously, there's some surprise losses in there, but he came back from that last injury about a year and a half ago with a string of 11-4s and a 10-5 thrown in there. And when he got himself back into fighting shape, he reeled off 3 Yusho out of 4. So there's no question for me that he can do that again. Will that be this time? I don't know. But when you look at the last tournament, obviously we were looking at him with that injury comeback. A lot was made of the situation with him losing his dad. It's hard enough to fight under those conditions anyway. Never mind the fact that you are a national hero and your dad is also a national hero. And then, all the symbolism of the Senshuraku final, the 49th day after that. It was a lot of stuff. And I think that, if he can just continue that comeback and he continues to make progression, we're still going to see a good Hakuho, whether or not he's in Yusho contention this time or not. But if Hakuho finishes 15 days, he's usually in Yusho contention.
Okay, so let's go from someone who's in it for the long haul to Kisuna Sato. This, if he does not start Nagoya, This is number 8. This is the record setter for Yokozuna on consecutive Kyujo. Andy, thoughts about the Great Pumpkin?
I've been wondering I've really just been wondering what is the top end and where will it be that the yokai not I don't.
Yeah, we lost you, Andy.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, audio just cut out. Try it again.
Oh, sorry. I don't think that we're going to see the Kyokai, I guess, trying to pull his card until probably 10 or 12. I mean, when you're getting to, it's been 2 years since you competed, then I think we're going to see them basically forcing his retirement. But there's so much national pride, I think, behind Kisano Sato that if there's any hope of him competing again, having 1 or 2 more tournaments, then I think that they're gonna go all out and really let him try to get back into it. But it doesn't look hopeful, surely.
Josh, thoughts about Kisano Sato?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really believe we're going to see him this time. There's been a lot of rumors that he's preparing for the end. Obviously he had the little switch with his Kabu. That I think he had on loan to someone. I can't remember who. But it seems like he had taken that back before the last tournament. I don't think we're going to see him this time. I do think we will see him on the dojo again. But when that is, I don't know. I think if he comes back this time, it's just from what I've seen, and you can never trust the videos that come out. We obviously didn't have a Junyo, not that that's always indicative, but it just doesn't feel like we're going to see anything approaching the competitiveness at that level that we would need to see from him.
My question to you guys is, all right, if he comes back, do we see him compete 2 or 3 days? Because I'm trying to. It wasn't Baruto, maybe Koto Oshu, who I think before he retired, it was like 2 or 3 losses at the beginning of the tournament and then Intai. Do you guys see him trying to hold on into week 2? Does he make it a full tournament and just have a shabby like Makekoshi?
Yeah.
Or do you see him going 1 or 2 days and that's it?
So here's what I think will happen. So Kisano Sato takes sumo very seriously. We all know that. He wants to be the sort of Iron Man of sumo. And until this injury came along, he was, doing everything humanly possible to make that. And now he's about to set a record, an ignominious record, a very bad record about total number of Kyujo. This has to eat at the guy. So I think he's planning a big exit. It's either going to be a big exit or a little one. And the big exit goes a little something like this. He starts a Basho. He puts everything out there, knowing that he's probably not going to make 8 wins, and he's not going to see to the middle of week 2. And he does everything he can for the first 7 or 8 days, right? Picking up as many wins as he can, hoping that he can get 8 wins, and then on the day that he gets the 8th win, announce his retirement, going out with some sort of dignity and pride left intact. But I'll be honest, guys, if you take a look at the practice bouts that he's been participating in, his sumo is sloppy. His footwork is terrible. The guy is a mess right now, and he's put on quite a bit of weight. So it's going to be, I don't see how he comes back. I want him to come back, but I don't see how he's going to come back. Josh, over to you.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, I think that is, obviously I think it's an optimistic outlook. I think it's a tremendous outlook. I think it's something that we'd all like to see. The difficulty, we're obviously just talking about the Banzuke and we're running through the top guys. Sometimes we look at this and we go, who's going to get, however many wins it takes to win the Yusho? Who's going to get however many wins it takes to beat Hakuho? You look at this, in this situation, you're like, where's Kisano Sato going to find 8 wins? And that's the really tricky thing. When you're looking at this level of competition and that end of the Banzuke, it's really tough to see it because you're seeing these guys who are up and comers. Like I said, I didn't, obviously a lot of times a Kinboshi is a surprise, right? I didn't see Abi beating Hakuho. There's guys coming up right now who are going to be able to just one-on-one on any one-off occasion in ways that these guys can't foresee, and that's in addition to the fact that now all of a sudden you have this superstar in Tochinoshin. You have this Mitakayumi who's kind of putting a run of consistency together. Ichinojo is like for real now. So all of a sudden, you look at the guys that he's going to have to fight to try and scrape 8 wins together. Man, I don't know where that's going to come from. He's got to hope that a bunch of other guys go Kyujo, or the scheduler are super kind to him. But yeah, I don't know where that is.
Right. Yeah, I hear you. So so the other thing I wanted to breach the subject on is that we've got 3 Ozeki now, 2 of which are Kadoban, and the brand new one is seems to be nursing a wrist injury. Boy, and so we've got 2 that must win 8, and 1 that does not want to stumble straight out of the gate in his Ozeki tenure. We have a tough situation at Ozeki. Thoughts, Andy? We'll start with you.
It'll be great to have 3 guys super motivated to compete this time around. And, I mean, with Kakuryu and Hakuho back, I'm really, really hoping that the final week is going to be a lot of fireworks. So it should be fun.
Josh?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of interesting. You guys will get a kick out of this. So, when you go to Kokugi-Con and they have the cardboard stand-ups that you can get your picture taken with, I got my picture taken wearing a kimono and being held by Endo. That was great. But they have them for Endo and they have them for all the Ozeki. And the one of Goedo, I noticed, I don't know if it was just the fate of the construction or what, but the way they built it, the screws are put right through his ankles. And I just thought that so
really?
I'll put a picture in the comments. But I caught that. I thought that was just great. I mean, I don't know whether that was intentional or what, but regardless, I mean, listen, we've all talked about, what element of the Goedo software he's running right now. Who knows? This is a crazy world we're living in, Goedo. You got Tochinoshin coming up. I've always been, I should say, I've never really been super bullish on a guy receiving a big promotion to that next level. Obviously, we saw Kisano Sato when he got elevated to Yokozuna. He had that incredible Yusho win. But most of the time that we see these guys make their promotion, the next tournament is kind of like, it's just enough. And I think that's probably what we'll see here. He's obviously come out and said, I want the Yusho this time. We know he's nursing an injury. But I think he will be in the mix. And I think if you look at week 1, it's going to certainly add some extra spice to his match with Shodai when you look at what happened last to throw him out of the race. So there's going to be some really interesting matchups this time. And I think the fact that there's 3 Ozeki, 2 Kadoban, it's going to really contribute to that.
All right, so let's take some points of interest in Makuuchi. So each one of you guys give me 2 that you think are going to be worth watching during Nagoya. Andy, we'll start with you. Give me 2 and tell me a little bit why.
Koto Shogiku.
Oh!
Back up at Maegashira 1 and gunning for Sanyaku again.
Will we see the back bend if he gets into Sanyaku?
Oh, it'll be amazing. And I mean, if he's up there like picking up that thong again, it'll be hilarious. But I mean, Koto Shogiku is one of those guys who, when he was an Ozeki, like Goedo, consistently.
Lost you on audio again, Andy.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, he was consistently Kadoban as an Ozeki, and now that he's come back down a little bit, fallen back down to earth, he's putting some decent wins together.
Yep.
But I'm also looking at Onosho back up in Makuuchi, and it'll be exciting to see him rejoin some of the tadpoles up in Makuuchi. So I'm hoping that he comes back up into the joy himself.
Okay, Josh, 2 in Makuuchi you think are going to be worth keeping their eyes on, and why?
Yeah, so the first one I'll name is an individual, and that's Abi. One thing that I thought was really remarkable, when I was in Kokogi-Con in May, these are things that we don't often catch on the TV highlights. The guy, Jason Sumo Channel, friend of the site, obviously, does a great job of bringing this up, is the sheer amount of noise that you can see in the venue for some of these guys. And I think that as, not wishing to be disrespectful, but I think as some of the luster has maybe come off of the Mitakeumi train in the last few months, a lot of fans have gravitated towards Abi. And I don't think that he, I should say, I think that he did treat himself, well. I think he did justice to himself with his performance last time, obviously Makekoshi, but, he did a great job for his first time up at that level, and I think that he's going to continue. And, Bruce, as you said, if he can just add that grappling element, if he can add a Mawashi game to his sumo, wow, he is going to be really something to watch. So I'm looking at him. The other one thing that I'm looking at, I think a lot of people know who follow the site. Like, I'm a big fan of Kyoku Taisei, who came up last time was his big debut in the division after a good long run in Juryo. Something that's happening now that is kind of interesting is after this wave where you mentioned Onosho. You have Onosho and Takakeisho, and these guys come up and they just run through Juryo like a freight train. But now, some of these guys who've been down there for a minute are making their way up to the top division. Kyoku Taisei gets up, he stays in the top division. Now we've got Koto Eko and Meisei coming up. And so it'll be interesting to see, these guys who've kind of been down there for a minute, are they going to be able to come up, hang around, get these special prizes, and kind of exert their influence on the top division? That's going to be really interesting to watch. And as we talk about, the evolution of, the guys at the top coming down, Koto Shogiku is like, I'm not ready for that. I'm not going out till Toyonoshima comes back up. He seems to be doing a good job of that. But as some of those older guys start to come down, these guys who've been Juryo for a minute are starting to sort of stake their claim and stay put. And that's going to be interesting to watch, too. Okay, so I'll give you my 2. First and foremost, I think up at Majishira 3, Takakeisho is ready to hit it again pretty hard. We didn't see too much of his really sort of full open throttle sumo in the last tournament, but I think that week 2 we started to see some of that edge, some of that there's no defense, there's no going back, I'm taking you out of here and it's going to hurt. That's when he's at his best. He's in the joy this time, so I'm really looking forward to seeing him being highly disruptive. And I know that the guy gets a lot of flack for his appearance, and I'm out on my own for this, but I got to tell you, Kagayaki, man, Kagayaki is a guy to watch. He is Mr. Fundamentals. If you watch Kagayaki's movements when he is in a match, it reminds me so much of Kisano Sato from 8 or 9 years ago. All fundamentals. The feet are kept low, the hips are kept low, strongly moving forward. I think sumo's got a lot of room for someone to step into a Kisano Sato style approach, and I think that if he can keep it together, if he can stay uninjured, regardless of his giant pendulous breasts, the guy's got potential. I'm sorry, I had to put that in there because it is tough to watch him fight sometimes. Okay, let's do forecasts and predictions. Andy, forecasts and predictions for our lovely Nagoya Basho.
Let's see. Kakuryu 3-peat. Hakuho on Senshuraku fighting for the tournament. I think that it'd be exciting. And I'm also hoping to see Ichinojo competing for the Yusho this time around.
Oh, wow. Wow. Any other things you want to throw in there, Andy?
I'm just hopeful that Tochiozan can stay around. He just hasn't seemed to be healthy. And he and Okinomi are guys that I'm not used to seeing down that far.
Yep.
And so I'm hoping that they're able to turn it around pretty soon.
Okay, Josh, thoughts, predictions, forecasts?
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting point, because I think one of the best things about sumo is the fact that we kind of cheer for everyone.
Yep.
You don't really cheer against anything. So like, even when we talk about these exciting new guys who are coming up, that's going to come at the expense of someone, and we hate to see whoever that's at the expense of, as much as we love to see, these great new stories. Predictions always make you look a little foolish, but
I never care. I just dive straight in.
my Goedo's my Goedo's 15-0.
Yeah, that's right up there.
They were too well.
Oh man. So, if we wanted to be really bold, we could say maybe Goedo will be Ozeki Wake next time. I think there will be a Yusho challenger, like a serious Yusho challenger potentially from the mid-Maegashira ranks. And the reason why I say that is because it looks like there is now that we've got an additional person in Sanyaku again, we've got Hakuho coming back, he looks like he might be in better shape. I think it might be a little bit of a war of attrition at the top end, and that might bring some people lower down the Banzuke into it. Final prediction, I think this is a pretty safe bet. I was in Nagoya last summer. I won't be there this year, but it's really hot. And if you notice, Tochinoshin is the sweatiest man in sumo. I think that he will continue that. This time, you can hold me to that. I think that he will be the sweatiest person at the Basho.
Okay, I will go out on a limb. I will throw my predictions in as well. I think we will see Takayasu go Kyujo, and that he will be Ozeki Wake for Aki. And it will not be a problem because he'll be back and he'll be strong at that point. I think that we are going to see quite possibly a Hakuho Yusho, because I think that he's got the fire in the belly. I think we're going to see some interesting sumo out of Shodai this time. I think that Shodai has been working hard on his mechanics, and he may have addressed some of his issues. We saw a little bit of that at Natsu. He wasn't so bad in the Tachiai anymore, and we can see what a huge difference that made. So if he has improved yet again, we're going to see some really interesting stuff from Shodai, and people are going to be surprised. And that's all I had.
Well, no, I'm glad you mentioned Shodai, because it's been interesting to see his Tachiai and see how he's hopefully making it a little bit more effective, but also he's staying healthy.
Yep.
And I mean, nobody can ever henka Shodai, and then nobody's ever gonna catch him with a kachiage either.
Nope.
So he's somebody who's Mr. Safety. And it'll be interesting to see if he can, like you said, make it a little bit more effective and string some wins together at the higher level.
Okay, guys, any last words before we sign off? Josh, it has been a huge pleasure to have you on board. I hope we can see you again on future podcasts.
Thank you for having me.
And Nicola will, I think, be in Nagoya this time around.
Yeah, so
get
amazing.
Victor.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, I got to ask Josh. You're headed over for Kyushu, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll be there for Kyushu. Hopefully, see. It's actually the last city, that hosts a Honbasho that I haven't been to yet. I was able to get to Osaka this year. I went to Nagoya last year. Have been fortunate enough to go to Tokyo a few times. But yeah, this will be the first time in Kyushu. We did a post on the site around Osaka, kind of explaining, hey, here's how you go check it out if you're interested in checking it out. So for people who are interested in going, I'll try and put together some information from my experience in Kyushu, a couple other ones to help people on the site figure out how to book their trip to see sumo in Japan, because it's an amazing experience.
Awesome stuff, Josh.
Because that's the one that I really want to go to. I mean, it'd be a little bit warmer, I guess. It's the November one, right?
And the food's awesome.
I can't wait for that. And people say that the sight line at the inside are actually the best of all the time. At least the ones outside of Tokyo.
Yeah, we lost your audio, Josh.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. You hear me now?
Yeah, not really. Don't worry about it. So we're just going to take our leave, say goodbye to everyone. Thanks for joining us for this somewhat technically challenged Nagoya podcast. And take care. Remember, when you think about sumo, it's Tachiai.